Hi there everybody, it's Martin Twycross here with another video short. A number of people have asked me if I could share any footage of my demonstrations of mediumship. So in this video I'm going to share with you two contacts from two different demonstrations of mediumship. Both of them come from online demonstrations and both of them were recorded on a camera, so you will see me only. You won't see the recipients, but you will be able to hear the recipients' responses when I confirm and check my evidence, which is something that I recommend that all mediums do. In each case, I had feedback from the recipients to confirm that all of the information I gave them was accurate. And the recipients have both given their permission for their contacts to be shared in this manner. You will notice in the second contact that I'm actually wearing some tinsel around my neck. I wouldn't normally demonstrate in that way. I do have a great deal of respect for spirit, you understand, but it was a light-hearted service, Christmas service and demonstration of mediumship. Hence the Christmas decorations in the background and the reason I was wearing a little bit of tinsel around my neck to get into the theme of things. The two contacts will give you some idea of how my mediumship works, but you must understand that every contact we do, every demonstration we do is different. I will never give the same contact twice. I would never repeat it. Each one is obviously individual to the spirit mind that links to us. But I do hope that you find these demonstrations helpful, do hope you find them beneficial, and do hope that it gives you insights into my mediumship. So this is where I get to demonstrate my mediumship, and whenever I demonstrate, I usually say whenever I stand up to demonstrate, but I'm sat down at the moment. It's always unusual working online to do a demonstration because I get ever so excited and I want to be moving around and I can't, and it's like I've been chained to the desk. But I have to adapt, I have to be flexible, I have to talk the talk that I just spoke about. But whenever I come to work, it's always a pleasure and a joy, and I look at all of you this evening, and you're all spread across multiple screens this evening, so I can't see you all. But I look at you all this evening, I say whoever is here this evening, whoever belongs to them from Spirit, is welcome to work with me this evening. I never choose who gets a message. I always allow Spirit to decide who's going to come through. Invariably, I never know where I'm going in an online room, especially when there's participants spread across multiple pages. So because of that, I often don't know where I'm going. So what I need you to do is to listen to what I say, to listen to the information I bring through, and if you do understand that, then to raise your hand. I don't know if you guys normally work by raising your hands in here. If everyone knows how to raise their hands, that's wonderful. I guess if people don't know how to raise their hands, they need to get my attention in some other way. And I don't know if our hosts will be looking through the different screens trying to identify people, but hopefully we'll get to the right person, and we'll invite you to speak to me, and hopefully we'll get to where we're going. So don't raise your hands yet. So I know that there are different ways of raising hands. I think under reactions there may be raise hand, and under more there's an opportunity to raise hands. But the way I work is I say to Spirit, come forward, whoever wishes to work, but you've got to come one at a time. If they all rush me at once, I'm in trouble. So I ask them to work one at a time. I ask them to bring some information about themselves to help get them recognised. That's what we want. We want them to bring information that will be understood, and I ask that we want to get down to one person. So I've got to bring sufficient information to get me down to one person, and then we can move on to why they're here. So that's how I work. As I say, if I was in a room with people, I may be drawn to somebody in the room, or the energy may take me there. But online, invariably, I get the evidence. In the UK, we have a program called Through the Keyhole, where we go into someone's house and we look around it, and it's who lives in a house like this. So it's a little bit like that with my mediumship, in that I describe someone's life, I describe their personality, I describe things about them, and you think about those people you know in the spirit world, and if it sounds like one of your loved ones, talk to me. I'm really old school. I like all the information to fit. I don't like people to take one little bit here or one bit there. I'd like you to take the lot, or if not the lot, then the vast majority. That's what I'm looking for when I'm working with mediumship. So all of that said, let me get started, because I've got a lady here who wants to work with me. Now, as I link with this lady's energy, I know I want to say she can be a very awkward and difficult lady. I know that I can feel that within her energy. I feel very much that my address, I spoke about adapting. This lady was not good at adapting to things. And this lady, I feel like she lives in a different era. She doesn't want new technology. She doesn't want any of that. She lives in a different era. The hand has been there all the time. I've been watching that one, so I'm not. So if you'd like to lower your hand at the moment, because I don't think I'm not opening it up yet. I've already given you information. So many of you, the whole room can probably take someone like this. But I'm going to say a few more things specifically about this lady. I feel this lady, she was almost like a recluse, is the sense I have. And she didn't like letting people in her home environment. Even if you were family, it'd be hard to get through the door and get in there. And I feel she dresses like from a bygone era. I feel she lives her life from a bygone era. That's just the sense she gives me. And she really was quite resistant to change. I know it feels to me like I don't want to have anything in my house that is run by electricity almost. That's the feeling I get, as if I don't want electricity in my house, in my home. So I've got quite a complex lady, quite a stubborn lady, quite a challenging lady. So who would understand a lady like this? Who would understand the information I've given? And you can raise your hands now if you wish. So does anybody understand? So is Jenny waving? I can see someone on the screen called Jenny. So if we can have Jenny and Della unmuted. So Della, can I ask you first, is that information making sense to you?
Yeah.
Would you understand her being like a recluse?
Yes.
And I have to say as well that I feel this lady has cats.
Then I've got to say no, Martin.
So that doesn't make sense to you. So there's somebody else, Jenny as well, I believe. You understand this information. Okay, so Jenny, can I ask you, are you understanding this information?
Yeah, I do.
Do you understand her being like a recluse?
Yeah.
And dressing from a bygone era?
Yeah.
And did she have cats as well?
No, she didn't like cats.
She didn't like cats?
She was a cat.
Okay. And so the other person who can understand was Julia, I believe. Is that right?
Yes. I understand. She was very old-fashioned in her dress. She was very reclusive. She did not like technology. She often said she'd been born into the wrong era. And yes to the cats. Yes to the cats.
I want the cats because I know I can smell cats around me. That's why I felt I had to talk about cats as well.
Yes.
So you understand this lady? She's quite a character though, and she doesn't like letting people in her house. She doesn't want people to come in her house. Can you follow that?
That's true.
And
yes.
But I feel that the dress is really from a bygone era. But I feel as well that I don't want to allow anything to do with electrical things in my house. I don't want anything electric in my house. Can you follow that?
It wasn't that she didn't want it, it was that she didn't understand it and she wasn't good at learning how to use new technology.
Okay.
Even new television remotes.
Yeah, I just know that I'm happy with what I know and what I like, but she's family, but she's quite hard to get close to. Can you understand that about her?
Yes.
She's very, I feel
Yes.
she it almost gives me the sense she's closer to her animals than she is to her family. And she just yes. feels very distant. But I also feel she doesn't like letting people through over the threshold of her home. Can you see that?
That's right.
But I feel as well that she gives me the feeling that if you did go within her house, that it's not... She gives me the feeling it wasn't as well kept as perhaps it should have been. Can you understand that about
True.
her? There's just a sense here of it being a little bit chaotic. But she was very resistant to anybody helping this lady. I just feel so resistant to wanting help from anybody. And
Yes.
she would never ask for it. You understand that? I also sense quite a strong religious beliefs with her as well.
Yes.
Can you follow that? And
Yes.
I just, because I had a feeling of she doesn't want certain things in her house, almost as if that's the devil's work. That's a very strange thing for me to say. Which,
Martin,
I
sorry.
understand that.
right. At the moment, I do feel that this is fitting well here with Julia. It does
All right, that's fine.
does very much feel like it connects here.
Okay, that's fine.
Because would it make sense, Julia, that you would have wanted to help this lady in her later years?
Yes.
And you would have done your best to help her, but she's keeping you at arm's length. She doesn't want the help, and she's really making your life quite difficult.
Yes.
Because there's an apology she brings here towards you as well. Because there's this apology here that I wasn't always there for my family in the way they would have wanted. I wasn't always the person they would have liked me to be. And particularly with you, she feels she gave you a difficult, challenging time at the end because she wasn't particularly grateful for the help you tried to give her. But she was ever so grateful for the help at the time, even though she never expressed it.
True.
Do you see that? So
True.
you helped her. She's grateful now for the help you give. She can see how much she needed it, but at the time she wasn't. And I feel at the time she could be quite harsh in what she said. She could have quite a sharp tongue. She could upset you, and you deserved him. I want to pin a medal on you, a campaign medal on you for coping with how well you dealt with her. Can you see that?
I can. Thank you very much.
Because She wishes she'd been different, but I feel as well, if you look back at her own childhood, her own early stages in life, you would understand why she became the way she was. Does that make sense to you? Can you follow that, what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And
100%.
there's a feeling here that she wasn't given the nurturing, the support and the love that she should have had early in life. And that meant that she found it hard to have that nurturing connection with other people.
Yes.
But she's ever so pleased you're different. She's ever so pleased that you've broken the mold. She's ever so pleased that you, in your life, you must have made a point of saying, I don't want to be like this lady.
It's true.
You follow that? And
Yes.
you're not. And she's grateful. She does bring a very motherly feeling towards you now. Would this make sense as your mum?
Yes.
But because she's bringing this now, but she wasn't easily able to bring that during her life, that sense. At times you would have to be mum to her. At times you would have had to reverse roles. And somebody else in your life played that role of mum more than she did. Can you see that?
Yes. That's true.
But now she's here to say, I'm sorry for that. I wish I'd been better at fulfilling that role to you. And she now wants to make amends from spirit. She now wants to be here from you, from the spirit world. She's now standing side by side with you to say, I'm here to help you now. That's what she brings forward for you. And I know
Wonderful. Thank you.
I know within that she brings a great deal of love in. Love that she found very difficult to express, almost as if I made a very hard shell when I was here. I suppressed my emotion. I buried my emotion. In the spirit world, she's now reopened to that. And there's now such a lot of love she brings forward for you. And she just wants you to know that that love is there. Never to have doubted it, it is there for you. And she apologizes for being so challenging and difficult. But I feel as if you should have had a message from her from Spirit before that has elements of this in before. Can you see
Yes.
that? But the feeling she gives me is that this should tie it together more for you. And with that, she's just happy to step back. Now she's connected. She's happy to step back. And she wants you to know that her home in the spirit world is much nicer, much more well kept. Just in case you were wondering.
That's good.
She's discovered how to keep home now as well. So with that, I'm going to leave that with you and say thank you for working with me.
Thank you very much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Spot on.
Lovely. Okay, So, interestingly, when we start working, I felt a man and a woman draw close. And I know the woman really loved Christmas. And Pamela gave this woman who really loved Christmas. And I thought, Pamela's got my link. And then I got a man, and Pamela described this man, and I think Pamela's got my link. But no, luckily, you're my dad, so I haven't got my dad, so that's all right. So we're all right. So I've got a gentleman with me who wants to work with me. And in some way, he's like my dad as well, in some ways, in that I don't feel this gentleman particularly like Christmas, is the feeling he gives me. And the family would have jokingly referred to him as Scrooge. So I need to have him jokingly referred to as Scrooge, a man he doesn't really like Christmas, he doesn't like the fun of Christmas, and in his life he doesn't really like people around him having fun. So I get the feeling that the family have to enjoy Christmas, but try and do it not in front of him, because he'll moan at them. So almost as if they take themselves away to the side, or try and do things when he's not watching or when he's out. That's the sense I get with this gentleman. And the feeling I get is he's a bit serious, he's a bit of a stick in the mud, and he likes moaning as well. That's the feeling I have as well. I like moaning and complaining a great deal. So who would understand a gentleman like this? Who would like to own up to a gentleman like this? I'm hoping somebody will. Is there anybody understanding a man like this? A man who's not big into Christmas, doesn't really seem to enjoy Christmas, doesn't really seem to like participating too much in all the fun of Christmas. He would go along with it to a degree, but I just get the feeling that he kind of lowers the mood. He brings things down a little bit, and that we have to kind of, if we're going to really enjoy ourselves and have fun, it's better to do it when he's not there. So I've got Juanita is understanding this. See if we can unmute Juanita. Juanita, can you speak to me?
I can speak to you.
Wonderful. So does that make sense to you then, what I'm saying?
It does. It certainly does.
So would you have jokingly referred to him as Scrooge?
Yeah, not really that jokingly. It was pretty serious.
Okay, well that's fine as well. As long as you refer to him as Scrooge, that's what I need. And do you understand where in his life, he doesn't like people having fun?
Yes, and that extended to every single opportunity.
Every area of life as well. It's not just Christmas. It's every area of his life. He doesn't like people having fun. And if people were having fun, he'd do his best to spoil it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like I just have the sense of trying to bring people back down to being sensible again. Stop having fun and be sensible, and don't get carried away. And there's just this feeling of having to enjoy ourselves either away from his company or when he's not there.
Absolutely, because it was impossible to enjoy yourself when he was around.
So, but it's almost like we want to send him off places, or we want someone to take care of him while he's gone. So, like, if we want to unwrap presents and have fun and be children, we need him out the way.
100%.
You follow me? And my own mind's wondering, is this dad? But it feels like it's not dad. It feels like it could be like a grandfather, or
It's stepdad.
it's dad. That's what I'm looking for. Because I feel it's like, I just got this feeling of it's like your dad, but it's not your dad.
Yeah.
And he's a challenge anyway. And I know that people would also refer to him by other names.
Yes.
Some of which I don't feel I can actually use at this moment in time. We might call him a miserable so-and-so, but replace so-and-so with a rude word.
With multiple rude words.
Yeah, take choice of words, menu of words, just put it in there, and that's how he is. But I don't really want people buying me presents. Don't bother buying me presents. I don't need nothing. But equally, I'm not intending to buy you anything.
100%.
But you give me a present and it's like, oh, now you want something from me, but I've not bought you anything. So I feel like I might grudgingly give you some money to go and get your own present. Or I feel as if somebody else has to quickly wrap something and pretend it's from him.
Yeah, it's just an ongoing nightmare.
But also, he's not a man who shows gratitude as well when you give him a present. So Pamela was brought through my dad, and my dad was well known for sometimes he wouldn't even open his Christmas presents for 3 months later. My dad was such an enjoyer of Christmas. And I feel I've got an element of this coming through with your stepdad as well, that like he'd open it and say you needn't have bothered. And you really want to hit him with it quite hard, actually. Because you did want to bother, but he doesn't appreciate it. And he's very blunt. He speaks his mind without what I call any kind of tact filter. He just
No
comes out,
filter whatsoever.
comes
No
out with
concern
it.
about consequences or impact at all.
Yeah, and if I upset people, so what? This is just the way I am. You take me or you leave me. And a lot of people want to leave him.
And did.
And with that, I get that, but I sense as if there was like several relationships where his partners left him. Can you follow that?
100%, yes. When you talk about severed relationships, absolutely, throughout his life. Yeah.
And it's just a feeling that people could only put up with him for so long. And after that, they struggled. So it's a feeling he gives me. He was a challenge. He was a stick. And the feeling he gives me is he made your childhood a bit more miserable than it should have been.
Well, that's nice of him to acknowledge.
He's just like, he's very blunt. It's like, but he almost wants to say at times he made it hell for you.
Yes.
You know, even from the spirit world, he's like almost like devastatingly honest. And it's quite unusual to have it kind of come in this way. And most people would build up to things, but he just comes out with it. That's the way he is. And there's regret here. He's not touchy-feely. He doesn't really do emotions. He doesn't connect with his own emotions.
No.
And because he can't connect with his own emotions, he can't connect with the emotions of others. And because he can't connect with the emotions of others, he doesn't realise when he's hurting people.
Yeah.
So he's now got a bit more insight into that. He's learning. He's changing. And I don't know, I feel as if you've had him from the spirit world before. I don't feel this is his first time ever communicating.
It's not his first time ever communicating. It's his first time communicating with me, but not his first time communicating.
But because there's a sense here of him wanting to bring an apology forward, which he's tried before, but the feeling he gives me is that he doesn't feel he's particularly succeeded very well with bringing it through before. So he's having another go. He's trying really hard this time to say, and it's not just for you, this is for the wider family, that I'm sorry for being the way I was. I'm sorry for making everybody have to go and find their little space to enjoy life away from me. And I'm sorry for being a miserable old git, basically.
You know, I just want to know, has he finally found some peace and happiness? Has he found peace?
As a personality, the feeling he gives me is it was hard for him to find happiness in life. And it was in degrees, you see. And as he's changing in the spirit world, his degree of being able to experience happiness is growing. But he'll never be one of those people who comes flooding through with the joys of spring because you would know it wasn't him.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So the feel he gives me is he's learning to enjoy life in many more ways, and he's learning to enjoy the company of people. He didn't particularly enjoy the company of people, but as a sense he had been awkward with people, of finding people around him a little bit awkward. So he's learning now to enjoy that more. And by doing so, that's creating a peace within him. Because I don't even feel he was comfortable in his own skin and comfortable with himself. That's the feeling he gives me when he was here. I didn't even find peace for myself, never mind anybody else. So he's now learning to do so. But part of finding his own peace is to let those whose lives he created challenge in, let them know that he regrets that, he apologises for it, he wants to make amends for it.
Okay.
So that's a feeling. But he also would have liked to drink, you understand?
Oh, yes.
Because I know that he wants to raise a glass to you now. And it's whatever he's got in this glass is amazingly strong. Like, it feels to me like if I'm sipping it and I'm thinking I can't drink that, that's like 40% and more. It's like 50% or moonshine or just something that's pretty evil.
It's a South African drink called Mampur, and it is like moonshine.
That's how it tastes to me. It just tastes like moonshine, just tastes evil, and, you know, it would corrode your insides if you drank it. So, but he's got a glass of this, and he's toasting you, and he's toasting your health. And again, he's ever so pleased that you are not like him in any way, shape or form. So I'm sure you're glad about that. He taught you well. You realise now how much he taught you, but at the time you never ever did.
Yes.
Yes.
Upon reflection, one can be more grateful than potentially before.
But he just wishes that he didn't have to teach you those lessons in that way. And he's learned to like Christmas a little more now. And he now buys presents for people in the spirit world.
My mother will be very impressed.
So he still doesn't go totally mad, you understand. He's still not in the same league as Elizabeth's mum. But he's learning to change. So with that, I'm going to leave his best wishes with you. He wasn't a great one for doing effusive love, but he brings a warmth towards you. And there was a care towards you that he's now showing. I'm going to leave that with you and say thank you for working with me. And I'm glad you spoke to me. I'm glad you owned up to him. I really am. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Martin.
If you found this video helpful, then do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.